Welcome to the Diversity Scholarships Foundation's Profiles in the Law. I'm your host, Jesse Reyes, president of the Diversity Scholarship Foundation and a justice on the Illinois Appellate Court. As we've mentioned in the past, this is a series of conversations that we have with some very prominent members of the legal profession, and it's our honor today to have the current president of the Women's Bar Association, Sarah King. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi, thanks, Justice Reyes. Thanks for having me here today.
It's our pleasure. Before we talk a little bit about the Women's Bar Association, if you could explain to our viewers also what the Women's Bar Association is, but talk a little bit about yourself in terms of your background and what inspired you to want to become a lawyer, one of the more prominent lawyers in our legal profession.
Thank you. Thanks for that introduction. So I am a partner at Clifford Law Offices. I do all types of personal injury, but mostly I focus my practice on medical malpractice matters, ranging from birth injury cases to any type of medical negligence issue or a pharmaceutical issue, or other types of catastrophic injury cases. But mainly, that's a really long way of saying that I'm a trial attorney. So a lot of trial work, a lot of depositions. I came here from a deposition today. So that's what I do day in and day out at Clifford Law, and I've been there for 13 years. So my whole legal career, actually. I started there as a law clerk, my second year of law school. So yeah, a pretty long time at one place.
And you're a partner now.
And I'm a partner now, yeah, worked my way all the way up to that.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. So, we actually have really great women representation among the partnership of our office, which is great, including Bob Clifford's daughter, Erin Clifford, who I work closely with. So, and my partner, Susan Capra, who is sort of part of my origin story at Clifford Law.
Oh, okay.
So I went to Loyola undergrad and then DePaul Law School. And as part of my time at DePaul, I was on the law review, which any young lawyer watching, I encourage you to do that. It was an excellent experience and really honed my legal writing skills on the law review. But as part of that, you have to write a pretty significant note that may or may not get published. Yes. And that has to get reviewed by an alumni. So I was, in the market for an alumni to review my note, also looking to get a clerkship, and I just happened to see Susan Capra's profile in Chicago Lawyer magazine. So a little bit something like this, where I just kind of saw the magazine. It was in the library, and I shot her an email. She was a DePaul Law grad, and asked her if she wanted to have a coffee, and she responded immediately that her law clerk had just left, and she was actually in need of a law clerk, so she'd be happy to have coffee and review my note. And then from there, I've been working there ever since. So, thanks to her for getting me involved in the firm. She's a current mentor of mine, and she's a JD-RN, so she was a nurse before she practiced, so she's kind of a double threat. So I love Susan. But I always take that as a little bit of a story I like to share, especially if there's people out there, struggling through law school, late nights in the library. Never be afraid just to reach out and ask to have a conversation. Even today, I've had people just ask for virtual coffee. Like, if you don't have time, you can just jump on Zoom with an attorney. And it's just really good to get to know the different type of practice areas, try to understand, being a lawyer, that's a big tent, right? There's tons of different types of lawyers. So meet with as many people as you can. And I did that by just reaching out, but through the Women's Bar, we provide a ton of mentorship opportunities just like that aren't necessarily huge events, but they really connect you with an individual lawyer. And that's not just exclusive to law students. So if you've been in practice a couple of years and you're looking to maybe make a change to a different type of area of law, the Women's Bar is a great resource to do that and to make those connections. So that's a little bit of my backstory.
So, that's a great story because, you're a law student and you just happened to be looking through the magazine and you saw this individual that was an alum.
Yep.
And you reached out to her. And then, that's nice that she also said, come on, let's sit down and chat. Yep. But that's basically how a lot of connections and networking takes place in the legal profession, correct?
Yeah, it is one-to-one. I think you can't beat that type of connection. So I'm open to emails after this for anybody who's a law student or a lawyer that's looking to get into the type of work that I do. And we all have really busy schedules, but I really do try to make time to mentor younger lawyers and the law clerks or the young associates at my office.
That's very nice.
One of the only reasons I can be here today is that some young associates that are working for me are working on getting some stuff filed that's due tonight.
That's good to be able to have that help.
Yeah, and it's good. You just always are trying to give back, I think, Bob has always made that a priority at our office and within the bar to make sure that you are, giving just as much as you're getting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what inspired you to want to become a lawyer?
So I always knew I wanted to be a lawyer, which kind of sounds like a cheesy answer.
Okay. No, that's not.
My mom was a paralegal, so that was my,
Okay.
my introduction to the law was through my mom.
And was she a paralegal in a litigation firm?
No. So she was in probate, which she
Oh,
always
okay.
says, like, I steered clear of litigation because there's actually no emergencies in probate because everyone's deceased. So that
Right.
was her funny joke. But no, so, I saw her, she really enjoyed her career and I love that. But I also just kind of knew I wanted to help people.
Okay.
But I didn't really know how to do that. And it seemed like giving other people a voice was one way I could do that. So
Yeah.
from a very young age, I really enjoyed talking to people, so speaking publicly, and then also helping individuals. So I knew right away I didn't want to do any type of corporate work, that I really wanted to work with individual people. So I
Okay.
think those were important things for me to identify early on, and then just made the decision to go to law school. But then I think the tougher decision is what type of law are you going to do?
Right. Yeah, because you usually start off in law school thinking one thing and then something else happens along the way and then you end up doing something else.
And it's hard because I think you don't know as a law student exactly what lawyers do, to be honest. You're in the courtroom, but you're not sure. So you can watch them in the courtroom, but you're not sure what they do on a day-to-day basis. So I do tell a lot of the young lawyers that contact me or that come through our firm as law clerks to think about how you want to spend your day. Do you want to spend your day on the phone? Do you want to spend your day in deposition, talking to juries? Do you want to spend your day drafting? Some people are excellent writers and they want to spend their day drafting and researching. And then from there, kind of pick an area where that is how you will spend your day, right? So I have no medical background going into what I do. And it wasn't the medical aspect that drew me to it. It was the chance and opportunity to be on trial, to be in front of a jury, to take depositions, and to learn something new every day. So every case I handle is a little different. Yes, and then on the plaintiff side, so I should say I do plaintiff's work only, our firm does. My clients are all individuals, and they're all individuals who have gone through something terrible. So unfortunately, most of the time when my phone rings, it's someone who's lost a significant someone in their family that's left a complete hole in their life, or someone who's been catastrophically injured, right, and needs to have medical care for the rest of their life.
Now, was it a straight path to college and to law school, or were there any obstacles in your way in terms of getting to where you're at today?
Yeah, so I started out, funny, I'm not actually a Chicago native, so I'm originally from Los Angeles,
okay.
and then I came here vis-a-vis Kansas City for college, so then I ended up Loyola. So I've been here many, many years now, but then I did go directly from Loyola to DePaul. Obstacles in my way were money, honestly, and I think that's an obstacle that a lot of people run up against when they want to go to law school. It's certainly not cheap. So, I had to let that not deter me and do the whole taking out the loans thing and know that one day I was going to work hard enough to pay those off and do that. So, for me, it's been worth it. I think it's something that everyone should consider and discuss because it is a ton of money, but there are a lot of scholarship programs out there.
Right,
so
and the Women's Bar has a scholarship program, right? And you have a foundation also as well,
we
right?
do, and I think that's so important. Most of the major bar organizations have a foundational arm, and so does the Women's Bar, to do exactly this, to provide scholarships to young people who are interested in going to law school, and merit-based scholarships for that to make that more feasible. So, I was lucky enough after I got done with law school, after I won my first big case, that's where I went right to getting those loans paid off, so I could get that done. So I was able to do that probably a little quicker than some other people, but that was, I worked really hard to do that. So yeah.
And then, would you happen to know what the website is for the Women's Bar Association?
Yeah, it's the WBA Illinois.org. So our abbreviation for the Women's Bar Association is WBAI. So we just don't repeat that I. So WBAIIllinois.org.
And then if they wanted to maybe look into scholarships, they would go on the website?
Yeah, so if you go on the website, there's a link to the foundation, and then you can always email WBAI@WBAI.org, and that goes to all of our executive leadership, including me and our administrator, to get you to the right resources.
Great. And could you tell our viewers a little bit about the Women's Bar Association?
Yep. So the Women's Bar is one of the largest and oldest bar associations in Illinois. So we're actually over 100 years old. So we were founded, in 1914, and so we've been around a little bit, originally by 9 women that were practicing in the metropolitan Chicago area. And we have just such a vibrant membership. So it's not just women who are members, women and men.
Sure, yeah, I'm a member.
Yep, you are a member, and at all of our events too, which we really appreciate. And we really do a number of things, but we focus mainly on promoting and fostering women lawyers. And we do that through our mentorship programs, our continuing legal education, our scholarship programs, and then our advocacy work. So we have a political action committee as well that's associated with the Women's Bar. So we go down to Springfield. We are currently focused through the PAC on promoting paid family and medical leave here in Illinois. So that's one of the things that we've been involved in.
Very important, yes.
Yes, and then we have a lot of big events. So those are meant to be networking events and to provide those connections. So I know you just golfed in our golf outing.
Right, yep. We had a great time.
Yeah, so it was really fun. And one of the things that people love about the golf outing is, it's a women-focused golf outing. So I think we have the most women participating in that golf outing than any of the other golf outings from the other organizations. So it's kind of more comfortable for people if they don't pick up a golf club all the time.
Right.
I golf one time a year, and it's at the Women's Bar Golf outing.
Oh, okay.
And I always have a great time. But it is a good skill to hone because, as we know, in a lot of professions, golf is a very important part of networking and building the business.
And it's great.
Yeah, and so then, and we also have our judicial reception, which is one of our biggest events of the year, second only to our installation dinner that we just had. And that really provides a way to honor our judiciary and honor the judges that come out to support the Women's Bar, but also to provide an opportunity for lawyers to meet judges and make those connections on a personal level. So maybe it's not so scary and awkward when you step up to the bench. Like, this is somebody that you know, and you can explain your case to them without any fear that they're not the scary person. Like, you're a little scary, but when you're on the bench in your robe, but you can definitely be a little more comfortable. So those are our big events. But then our smaller events, like we have a lot of mentoring circles that we do. And a lot of smaller CLE programs. So we have a financial
and those
one
are
coming up this
continuing
year.
legal education programs, right?
Yes, sorry, I keep using those abbreviations.
Yeah, no, that's quite all right. So what are some of your goals and objectives?
Yeah. So this year we're focusing on service. So our kind of theme for the year is Together in Service.
Okay.
And I really view that in 3 parts. So service to the our membership, right? First and foremost, service to our membership to make sure that we are providing them with all of these type of networking, mentorship, and educational opportunities, but also that we're making sure the Women's Bar is here for future generations. So, right, that's one of our goals, is to have more women lawyers, to have women lawyers who are in a better position in their firms and their futures. And to do that, we need to continue to exist, right? So we want to put the administration and financial pieces in place to make sure the Women's Bar is incredibly strong going forward. But then service to our community. So really focusing on a lot of those organizations that we can support as lawyers. WINGS, which is an incredible domestic violence organization. Sarah's Circle, which we are going to do an event with to make sure that we're providing food and shelter to women who are unhoused or in need of support, and a couple other organizations like that. So really giving back to our community, not just in a monetary way, but really going in and being boots on the ground in some of these places that need us. And then we're going to be part of a domestic violence summit that will happen this year. Other participants are the Chicago Bar Association, Illinois State Bar Association as well, are some of our partners with WINGS, who will be our big partner at that. And then lastly, service to the women of Illinois. So even though we are an organization for women, we are at the service of the other women of Illinois. So not everybody's a lawyer, but a lot of times they need a lawyer. So a lot of women will contact us through the Women's Bar and say, I'm not a lawyer, but this is going on in my workplace, in my community, in my, this happened to me, I need help.
Right.
And we love to be a resource for those women because it's a good place for them to turn, like, where do I start? And our membership is so robust and we have so many different types of lawyers. There's always someone that we can find to help. So I think that our advocacy work through the PAC is part of our service to the women of Illinois, but also just being available and having those type of interactions with our communities to make sure they know we're here for them. We're here to be the lawyers to all the women of Illinois.
Yeah, and then you raised one point that your membership is made up of all different type of lawyers as well, right?
Yes, yeah. So we have, I'm a plaintiff's attorney, as I said, but we have a lot of other specialties and both sides too, which is interesting. So there are defense attorneys that are part of the Women's Bar that I will see as I sit across the table at a deposition, and we're both members and we go to events and we're friends. And actually, I think that's a great part of the Women's Bar is that it's not just one type of attorney, one type of subject matter. You will, meet your opponents, work on throwing events with them, be on committees with them, which is great. A big presence of family lawyers in our membership, which is great. And then we have a lot of state's attorneys, public defenders, a lot of government attorneys, and judges that are part of our membership. So those are just a little selection, but really, you can't get a better group of networking for this because you really get to reach all specialties and all types of law.
And one of the things that you raised that I think is very important for our viewers to realize is that, yes, you might be across the table from your opponent or in the courtroom or in a conference room, but at the same time, you conduct yourself civilly and you conduct yourselves as professionals, but then at the end of the day, there's no reason why you can't work together on other projects or other efforts.
Exactly. I think professionalism and civility is so important in this profession. I know people see on TV a lot of yelling and banging on the table, and not that doesn't happen sometimes, but it's very rare, thankfully. We are a profession and we're there to represent people, and we're actually there to not do that, because a lot of times for the litigants, it's incredibly personal, whether it's a family law issue or, in what I do, like, this is their child that was injured. This is their mother that was killed. And they understandably have a lot of emotions about that. And they are directed at the person that they sued. And I'm really there to be sort of a middleman in connection with my partner in that, who is the defense attorney on the other side, to make sure things remain civil and professional, to bring it to a resolution if it can be, or to engage in a trial that's done in a professional manner for our jurors here in Illinois.
Yeah. So you raise a good point, because unfortunately a lot of people get the impression of what lawyers and judges are like, of what they see on TV and the movies.
And I love Judge Judy, but sometimes it gives the wrong impression of what we do.
Right, exactly, yeah. So, I know you're a partner in the Clifford Law offices, and I know you're very busy, but yet you still find time to give back. So other than the Women's Bar Association, I know you're involved in a lot of other programs like Women Everywhere Project and other programs like that. So how do you do it?
I know. It's a lot. I'm not going to lie. If I got on your program and I said, it's totally easy, everything's fine, I would be lying, especially this year because I'm the president. It's like having a little second job in the mix there. But, it takes a lot of support. So I don't do anything that I do alone. Number one, I have a very supportive husband, and I'm really lucky in that. And then an extension of him is my immediate family, my mom, my dad, my sister. They're all very supportive, because sometimes you just need those people to turn to. I have an excellent network of non-lawyer friends, so that's also important to balance you out there, and a network of other lawyers, a lot of them through the Women's Bar and through the Illinois Trial Lawyers Association, which is another passion of mine, that organization. So you need that support network. And then within the Women's Bar, like I said, I'm here today doing this interview, but there's 17 of us on the board, and they are incredible. I mean, you could just not find a more motivated group of women. And so although, it looks like sometimes I'm the only one out there doing stuff, they are constantly putting together the programs, chairing the committees. And if I could bring all 17 of them on this program for you, I would, because they just really represent this incredible breadth of experience and inspiration for the Bar Association. So yeah, I think you gotta have a big network, and then you also have to say no sometimes.
Right. Is it easy?
No, it's not easy. I'm here today, right?
Yeah, and we appreciate you being here
today. No, yeah, you do. You have to say no, but I don't think you have to be selective. You have to prioritize what's important, and I think giving back is important, and making the profession better is important.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, the Women Everywhere project. I mean, that's an important because you reaching out to young people, and terms from trying to, give them some exposure to the legal profession, but also let them see that there's a bigger world out there because many of them, unfortunately, come from very underprivileged and impoverished areas of the city and the state.
I love that organization. So I'm a past president of Women Everywhere, and for those of you who don't know, it's a group of attorneys and judges who work together on several arms, but one of them is the educational program that you're talking about,
right.
where we bring high school students to courtrooms around Chicago, the Daly Center, 26 in California, and they get to actually...
The appellate court.
And the appellate court. We do bring groups to the appellate court. And the federal court. And they get to meet with justices like you. They get to meet with lawyers. They get to meet with public defenders, state's attorneys, court reporters, the deputies, really anyone that's involved in our justice system. And they get exposed to that not only as a potential future career, but also to make it less scary. A lot of times the only interaction some of these kids have had with the legal system is negative.
Yes.
So when they see it in the light of this is something I could do, this is something I could pursue to make a difference for someone else, I think that's amazing. That really opens up a new opportunity for that student to think about, like, maybe I want to do this for my career. What does that entail? And then also to make that connection. From those programs, I've had many students reach out to me and they need something as simple as, can you proofread my resume?
Sure.
I'd be happy to, right? Because they just maybe don't have someone in their life that can do that for them or has the time to do that for them.
Or how to conduct an interview.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, it's your first one, right?
Hard to do, yeah.
And you don't know what to say, and so, or, what to ask.
Yep.
Which is always something that I always tell, young people is, always have some questions that you want to have answered as well.
Yeah, I haven't asked you a question yet, but I'll do it.
So again, before we depart, I just want to make sure. Can you mention again the website for the Women's Bar Association?
Yes, so it's wbaillinois.org is our website, and then you can always reach us at wbai@wbai.org if you have any questions. And you can Google us at the Women's Bar Association of Illinois, and we'll probably come up that way too.
Yeah, great. And then it's a statewide organization.
Yes, statewide organization. I talked a lot about Chicago today, but we do represent women in the whole state. And actually, that's one of the things I'd like to do this year is make sure we have a longer arm in the women's bar, because as you know, Illinois takes a while to get from end to end.
Sure, yeah.
But I do a lot of work in Decatur and Carbondale and East St. Louis, and we have members in all of those areas too. And we'd love to have more, so you can always join. I should mention, sorry if we're running out of time here, we offer a free membership for law students, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
So if you're a law student, you can sign up for free, and then your first year of membership is also free, and then there's a reduced rate. So it really is a great way for you to kind of get into the organization when you're just getting your financial feet under you, not make it a huge financial commitment, but get the benefits of it, and then start supporting the organization financially.
So there's no reason not to join, right?
Exactly. That's what I was saying.
And as you mentioned, it's one of the premier organizations in our state, and I definitely want to commend you and your members for all the fine work you have done throughout the years, because it's very important to be able to reach out and help out the community at large, not only the legal profession but the community at large. I think it's important because there's a lot of people out there that aren't aware of what's going on and what bar association's doing. So I appreciate you being on this program.
Yeah, thank you.
Letting our viewers know what the Women Bar Association does and has continued to do throughout the years. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me and for all your support of the Women's Bar. He's really at everything, and it's amazing how he supports us. So even just having me on this program, I really appreciate it to sort of spread the word.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure. Well, it has been a pleasure to have Sarah F. King, partner at Clifford Law Offices and the current president of the Women's Bar Association. And as I mentioned earlier, this is the Diversity Scholarship Foundation's Profiles in the Law. And we hope you enjoyed this program, and we will continue, as we always do, on a monthly basis to bring you some other prominent members like Sarah in the legal profession to speak to you. And thank you again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.